Trash Taste responds to the criticisms. And as I already told...
Hey, what's up, guys? We're here. So today we're going to be going over some
shut up! Let me speak!
Trash Taste podcast
No.
fiasco. So in case you don't know, Trash Taste...
Shut up! Let me speak. But yeah. They were doing some stuff. To anybody that doesn't know, Trash Taste did an episode with Hassan Piker, who's a terrorist sympathizer. He puts a terrorist propaganda in his streams. He was banned for just one day because he said he wanted to kill a senator, I believe. We are going to see that situation next. Rev is probably going to say it. But yeah, let's see what the Trash Taste responded to the backlash. At least an apology. I would recommend doing an apology because, oh, we're sorry about that, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Let's see.
This is a podcast run by The Anime Man, CDogVA, and Giguk. They talk about anime and Japanese culture and things like that. And recently they had an episode get a lot of backlash thanks to their
Look at the like and dislike ratio of that thing. God damn.
Special guest Hassan Piker. You can see the like-dislike ratio is just over a 24% like ratio on this video. Tens of thousands of comments, all of them pretty mad about the choice of guest Hassan Piker based on the many controversial things he has said over the past couple of years. And today we're going to be looking at the first response from anyone at Trash Taste regarding this situation. I think the things that are said by CDogVA in this case are actually pretty interesting and probably answer most of the questions.
Let's see what CDog said. Connor.
Get into the new stuff. Hassan has been banned.
Woo! But now he's unbanned after just one day.
Frozen over. He's actually been banned for once, and that stems from his recent comments where he advocated for violence against a sitting U.S. official. I guess that's what it takes to actually get punished if you're Hassan Piker on Twitch. But he has been banned. How long that lasts, who knows? Probably not very long. But here is the response we're looking at today. That was uploaded on Connor's clip channel here. You can see the reception of this is, still somewhat controversial. It's obviously a lot better than the podcast episode. I think some people are still angry about it, but it's titled How Trash Taste Tried to Deal with the Hassan Controversy. Now, it's a 17-minute video. We're just going to kind of hit the key parts for brevity's sake here, but let's start off right here.
Totally fair.
The way that we handle it, and the way that you should handle a lot of these things when they happen, like drama, is that sometimes it's just better to just not address anything and just let it just fade.
Well, and ironically, that's probably the best answer for most controversy.
Yeah, for the most time, just ignore people. You're not going to try to be civil, and yeah, that's totally fair. You can just ignore it, but there's some stuff that I don't think can be ignored, actually.
Yeah, especially if you're someone who makes a lot of content, especially if you're like a daily uploading channel or streamer or something, just like keep moving, unless it's really bad. In this case, it's pretty bad, right? A lot of people are upset.
Yeah, exactly. You can't just put it under the rug and call it a day.
I think the issue here is that they made that pinned comment about deleting comments, and it's like they started some sort of a response, which makes people expect a full response. If they're going to touch one subject, eventually you would expect they're going to touch all the subjects, and that's kind of what they're doing here. And then, as it would play out.
Mainly because when things get too heated, almost, no matter what you would say in that moment, people are still going to be going to be unhappy, or at least the group of people that want an apology, or whatever, anything like that. If you say anything, they're just going to be more unhappy, and it just adds more fire to the flame. So that's why generally we're just kind of like, all right, we'll just let it die down, let it move on.
Sorry about my voice, guys. I'm a bit sick from Carnival.
Get over it, and have their fun for the week. Most of them are brigaders. Well, okay, look. Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. So this is gonna get clipped as well. I know this now, Max. So I want to be very.
Yeah, it was clipped by your own channel.
Is that I think there are a couple of important things to mention. So I think, first of all, I think from our podcast perspective and from our perspective, if it is fair to say that if we don't engage in politics publicly, because it's just a mess. None of us live in the U.S. None of us are in any of these kind of intense political situations.
Whatsoever.
I think it is also fair to say that, why would we bring someone political on? Which I think is very fair.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't want to involve politics in your show, don't bring someone whose literal job is to be political. Like, imagine this. Oh, I don't want to be political, but I invited Donald Trump to my show. Oh, I don't see how's that going. How people are going to perceive me as political. Like, oh, I'm just inviting Donald Trump. I'm just inviting Prime Minister Trudeau. Oh, Macron. But we are just talking about fish and chips. I don't know. I said the most British thing for a Canadian, referring to a Canadian, a French, and an American. There were many wars fought over this. God damn.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. The fact he was there just in general wasn't very good, but it really wasn't just because he's a political streamer. I think they could have brought a lot of political streamers.
It's because he's a terrorist sympathizer who puts Hamas and Hezbollah and Houthi propaganda on his streams.
Onto the podcast and would have had anywhere near the backlash. The reason people were so mad at this particular episode is clearly because of Hassan, and it's not just because he talks about politics. It's because people don't like the unhinged stuff he has said time and time again.
Oh, I don't know how he said that. Oh my God, I'm not going to say it, but I will leave the man himself. Hassan Piker said this. Say this, just for a second. 1 second, guys. Let's see the clip. Let's just see the clip.
And so here we are. I'm living up to what I said about conservatives and progressives. We're having a conversation. So you said America deserved 9/11. Did you mean that?
Yeah. It's so stupid. It's such a stupid video, dude.
Yeah. There we go. He said yes to America deserves 9/11. But yeah. Totally unhinged stuff, right?
Which I agree with. And then I think the most annoying thing from my perspective and this whole thing is that there were legitimately fans of Trash Taste who were unhappy. And it's frustrating because you can't see or like actually hear from people who watch Trash Taste or who aren't happy because it just turned into like a political dick swinging contest.
Okay, I think there's some bit of fairness there. Like, yeah, it's hard to get a perspective on what the actual Trash Taste podcast fans think when there's so much negativity coming from people who probably aren't subscribed and are just going to this video to basically jump in on what's going on. And as I said in my previous coverage of this whole thing, I don't think the backlash on the episode was necessarily a repudiation of Trash Taste. I think they grossly underestimated how much people don't like Hassan outside his community. And
No, they don't. Because in the beginning of the episode, they literally tell Hassan, "Oh no, we are not going to talk about politics." And in the end, Connor did a joke about how, oh, there are going to be 5 people who are going to be upset about us.
I think this was more of a repudiation of Hassan himself.
Mm-hmm.
People saw the podcast episode as like, a lightning rod for their dislike of Batman. And unfortunately for them, it's their podcast. So they're the ones kind of seeing the public reflection of that with the like-dislike ratio and all the comments. But the anger was mostly towards Hassan. They didn't like the fact that they were...
Yeah, nobody is. No, I believe if you watch Trash Taste, I watch Trash Taste. I love the specials. Really love the cycling special because, well, Connor is the guy who breaks everything. I love that shit. I really love that. I love watching them. I think they're one of the most funny people on the internet, especially Connor. I really love his content. I grew up watching the cosplays videos, and I'm hoping for one day he will bring back that stuff because that's amazing. But yeah, I was just disappointed. I am subscribed from Trash Chase because I was waiting to see what type of response they were going to give us.
On the podcast, but they're much more angry and seeing it as an opportunity to talk about him and show that they don't like him and to repudiate him publicly. And just happened, the vehicle for this was their podcast episode. And the interesting thing too, I think he talks about this later, but you can't really tell based on an outside perspective. I don't have their analytics, but looking at their Trash Taste YouTube channel, at most they've lost 10,000 subs. That's...
Let me see one thing. Trash Taste. Because I think I believe that we let's see the latest episode. What was the latest episode? Is still the Hassan Piker? Well, as to be really honest, they didn't lose much of popularity. They kind of lost a bit. Five days ago. Well, let's see the analytics after.
It's every 10,000 subs once they pass 1 million. So, from what I can see, they've lost no more than 10,000. That's at the very most they've lost. So,
let's just see view stats. Okay, let's just see one thing. Trash Taste decline. I want to see the channel analytics. Views, subs, subscribers. Yeah. They lost 10k. Views. Let's see their newest video. Yeah, I think that the video it's tanking a bit. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. But I think they lost a bunch of fans. There are some people who there are some people who or didn't unsubscribe right away, but this video is 5 days old and there's a lot less views than the other videos.
About which side, which is bad on our part, because like we've never had any politics or any kind of talks like that in the comments, so I think it was kind of bad of us to kind of almost invite that. Second of all, the thing that was also very frustrating is that no matter what people were saying, there was a lot of brigading on a lot of sides, and I think that two things can be true at once. There were Trash Taste fans who were unhappy, and there also was brigading.
If you're asking me why I'm not subscribed to them, well, As I already told you, I am subscribed in the Hassan episode because I believe that's the right thing to do, because that's how they listen to us.
Happen, which is also very frustrating to deal with because then it's like, okay, now we can't actually listen to any criticism on the episode because both sides are jumping in, right?
Well, I think that is somewhat important. I mean, yeah, there were definitely people jumping in. Like I said, that podcast episode was like a lightning rod for people who don't like Hassan, and that's a way to show their disliking of him. But I think also, as he'll go on to say, is he wasn't aware of all these things involving politics and Hassan and some of his takes, and it's like, well, that's maybe an opportunity to read some of those and understand why people are so mad and why it was a bad idea to have him on the podcast. But I do generally get what he's trying to go after here.
No, yeah, he's trying to be reasonable, when I believe he's not being honest.
I even told Hassan, I was like, hey man, can you not? Like, it's bad enough that one side is doing this. Please don't bring up the fucking episode and be like, hey, send people. I was
Yeah,
like,
that was a
just be above this.
choice. I'm glad also you told him to knock that off, because that made things infinitely worse. Okay, there was already a lot of negativity heading towards the episode, but when he said the whole counter brigading comment and encouraged his audience to jump in there and try to change the narrative, that made people even more divisive, and that made people even more gung-ho about trying to send a message with this podcast and the choice of special guest.
Yeah.
Don't do this. Because if people who have very extreme beliefs want to go crazy, I can't stop them. They can do whatever they want. But you hope that at least another side wouldn't do that as well. So I told him, I was like, hey, please don't do that.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, man, okay, my bad. But I think as well, I told Hassan as well, I was like, hey, look, the show is not political. We don't want to deal with politics. We're most likely not going to have you on again. And that's not like anything like, hey.
Well, that's the least you can do, actually. You can only have a guy like Hassan back if the cultural landscape changes. But I really hope that it doesn't change to the point that we can invite Hassan back again.
Hey man,
Well, no, at this point, like, what else are you gonna do? Like, you could, it could have been an unfair situation. Let's say instead of Hassan, it was someone else completely innocent, and for some reason people went absolutely ape shit and were angry about it. Like, yeah, maybe it's unfair in that situation, but you can't do it again because people would be even more angry. And with Hassan, yeah, he was on the podcast 2 years ago, and I believe the like-dislike ratio on that was like 90%. But a lot has changed over 2 years. I mean, he's made more unhinged takes.
Yeah, in 2 years we had like the Israel-Palestine Hamas war, and there we saw how Hassan Piker was. 2 years ago, people, especially in Brazil, actually, people usually 4 years ago, 2 years ago, people don't pay attention to politics. But now people are paying attention, and people are criticizing when you see or say something that is stupid.
But most importantly, I think more people are aware of the things he has said, and that's why people were so ready to jump on that particular episode, the latest one he appeared on. And yeah, you can't bring him back. It would be even worse, honestly. Speaking as someone who is many moons ago, I made a video, I think it was a waifu tier list. People didn't really like some of my choices. So I doubled down the next day and said, aha, you're right. You guys were right. You thought I ranked these characters too low. You're right. I got to move them even lower.
That's a boss move. That's a real boss move from Rev. Just screw with that. Just don't listen. It's a waifu tier list. Come on, guys. If he likes big booby anime girls or big flat anime girls, it's fine. He has his own taste. And no, I'm not going to tell you what my waifu is, because I can show you in the future.
People didn't find that very funny. So I guess doubling down sometimes when people are mad like that doesn't really work out. too well, and this is a no-brainer at this point. How could you possibly have him back on? But I believe it's right here. He actually mentions the specific number of subs they lost, and it's a pretty surprising number.
I can tell you exactly how many right now. Let me find that. We lost 4,000 subscribers, which is not a lot, but I also think it is disingenuous, and I think it's bad to pretend like, that people aren't unhappy.
Yeah, as we can see, they lost like half of their viewership in the latest episode, comparing to the other episodes. They're like a 500k, and now this new one it's at 300k.
Well, I mean, first of all, 4,000 subs. Losing 4,000 on a...
That's more than I would ever get, probably. Clip me if I'm wrong and throw at my face, because I'm probably going to be crying of happiness.
A video like that with so much negative feedback is actually a very small number. I mean, 4,000
Yeah,
is
it's
nothing to like
really
wash
small.
your hands at. Like, it's still a significant number, and it shows that people who were fans of the podcast and were subscribed were not happy. But it also shows that a lot of the people, like I said, the video is like a lightning rod for people who don't like Hassan, so they went over there to show their disliking of him, and that's reflected by the sub numbers there. And again, with a channel they have like 1.5 million subs, to lose 4,000 is like a pretty small number. It's not insignificant, but you would expect it to be a lot higher given what happened, how angry people were about the podcast itself. But let's skip ahead to the next section here.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, it's a really small number, but I believe I always think that a channel, a bunch of subscribers don't make your viewership, because come on, we have like PewDiePie with 110 million subs, but he gets like he doesn't get 110 million views. There's like there's a turning point. Just a small percent of the subscribers actually watch our show.
Loving it, and people don't like Hassan.
So yeah, guys, there's probably just 2 of you who watch my stuff. So yeah, you're stuck with me. I'm not going to let you get away with this.
People were jumping on it and making videos about it. There was a lot of stuff that people said that was just flat out not true, and people were just making stuff up. Some people were saying like, oh, they didn't have this guest on. They said they were too controversial, but they had another.
Yeah, I saw that people were saying this about Nux Taco. Because in the past, Connor, CWA did some stuff with Nux, and then he separated from him. That's totally fine, actually. The same thing with the Vishoujo girls, and a bunch of people just separated from him.
Guest on. That's never happened.
So the name I heard in that situation, I saw people saying that they wouldn't have Nux Taku
Oh my god, Rev, great minds think alike.
on the podcast because he was too controversial. That was one of the names I heard people saying. I've never seen any proof of that, so I don't know. I feel like if they were willing to invite Hassan, I think they'd be willing to invite Nux if that's something that they wanted to do. But yeah, I think people were making that up. It's also like with the deletion of comments. I said that in my first reaction to this whole thing. I believe them when they said that they weren't deleting comments, because YouTube's comment section is really messed up, and it's
There's my ad blocker.
But I think he's going to talk about that in a sec.
That's just a bunch of lies. So I don't know what that was about. There was also the only things that were disappointing from me, my perspective as well. That like really, I was like, man, what the fuck? Is that people would then make whole narratives based around, because we had X on, that we then couldn't criticize any other creator. We couldn't, they're like, these people have changed, they're horrible, yada yada yada. And that was like, oh, okay, that sucks. That people are just making assumptions, but not a big deal.
People would lie on the internet.
But yeah.
Oh my god, people would lie. But I'm thinking he's being kind of disingenuous with his wording, because I was one of them. You're not going to find this comment with my username Captain Duncan, because I have my personal YouTube account. that I don't post anything and just watch stuff. But I told them, oh, we passed the point that we had Connor and Chris not supporting Logan Paul, Mr. Beast, because he was giving Logan Paul a platform, a guy who streams that people in the Suicide Forest in Japan. But now we have the Trash Taste Boys giving a platform to Hassan Piker, and I believe actually that is the same thing. You're giving somebody who it's a terrible person, a terrorist supporter, a person that I personally will never try to be friends with. You're giving him a platform. If my friend, this is a problem. This is a problem that I see. A bunch of people saying, "Oh, they agree with his stances." I think you don't need to agree with all the stances of your friends and the people you collab and work with. But if you, if I had a friend that said to me, "Oh, Duncan, I support this terrorist organization that I I laugh when they parade the corpses of children. I say that they need to kill a bunch of people. I wouldn't be friends with that person anymore because it past the point. You can say, oh, for example, in America, oh, I like Trump, I don't like Trump, I like Biden, I don't like Biden. That's fine. You don't need to like one of the sides. But I think the problem is there's a there's a past the point. You're not going to be friends with somebody who tells you, "Oh, I'm a racist." Oh, I. You're not going to be friends with somebody who tells you, "Oh, I think Hitler did nothing wrong." No, you're going to shun that person. You can say like, "Oh, I don't think Osama bin Laden did nothing wrong." You can't be friends with a person like that, for God's sake.
No, I mean, look, the reason why we didn't address it right away, we wanted to wait, is because a lot of people were, they were just demanding things. And there were a lot of comments that like, you need to delete this episode, and where I feel pretty confident.
Yeah, I told them to delete the episode actually because I think this is the best way because, well, even if, for example, Mr. Beast doesn't do an episode with Logan Paul in the future, there are still going to be archives with him and Logan Paul, and if that video resurfaces and becomes popular again, people are going to engage with with Logan Paul again, and yeah, it's the same stuff with a bunch of complicated actors. You can have the stance of not deleting because, oh, it's an old video and he did stuff, but I personally think you need to delete this or archive it and put it in a place where nobody's going to see it, because by the end of the day you're giving up someone who spreads negativity, who who literally said to kill a U.S. senator. You're giving him a platform and exposing him to a younger audience and a bunch of people who don't need that type of person.
Like this, where if you ask Trash Taste viewers, do you want them to delete the episode? I think most viewers are sensible. They would say, hey, even if I don't agree with this episode or I don't agree with this one, I wouldn't want you to
that'd be
delete
the
an
worst
episode.
move, actually.
I think that's crazy. Now, also,
I don't know why deleting is such a bad idea. I done stuff in the past that I regretted and I deleted because that's just how things work. You're not, like, come on, guys. I don't know if anybody. Cheap viewers on Stribo. Oh, hello there, you game fluently. Cheap viewers on streambo.com. Remove the space. What the heck is this? I'm going to look at this later.
make it very clear as well, in case you're watching this on YouTube, that because this is no doubt going to be a clip, that I'm sure that there's a good chance the comments might get taken over depending on how big this clip is. Please think for
It's
yourself.
gotten a lot of attention so
Please
far.
don't just read top comment and form your opinion based around that. Obviously, you're all adults. I trust you.
That's my problem. YouTube is it's a space for 13-year-olds and upper. They are not just adult. They are not adults. Sometimes I believe that YouTube must. Sometimes, let me rephrase it. YouTube is a place that you can enter at 13 years old. You're not an adult at 13 years old. They probably the majority of Trash Taste viewers are probably adults. Probably, I don't have their stats, but there are also a bunch of children who like anime and is going to watch the biggest anime stream podcast in the platform and are going to be exposed to Hassan Piker. And I don't agree with that type of why you're saying this, Connor, because there are children in your viewers. I used to watch Trash Taste when I was a child, when I was younger than 18 years old. Oh God, so much time has passed.
What I really appreciated it is that a lot of Trash Taste fans did seem to be just tired of people picking a side and being emotionally charged about it, and we're kind of just like, hey, maybe it's not for me. All good.
Yeah,
Next
and
episode.
that's not the vibe that they do on their channel. I think that's pretty obvious. But let's skip to one more section, and then we're gonna wrap.
Okay.
But I think the underlying point is the same. Of like, look, to the Trash Taste fans that are disappointed, sorry, it is unfortunate. Are we gonna delete the episode? No. If you do, did you unsubscribe? Okay, I apologize for that you felt the need to unsubscribe. But
Wait, he just said, "Oh, I apologize for you to have the need to unsubscribe." No, you should apologize for insulting the viewer that unsubscribed from your channel. Isn't that the right thing to say? Because, oh, sorry that I offended you, that I disappointed you. Not just saying, oh, I'm sorry that you felt the need to unsubscribe. I don't like this type of saying, this type of wording.
at the end of the day, there was we did not estimate what would happen.
And that's pretty much exactly what I was saying. They just made a bad choice. It's pretty much all it is. Anyone who thinks there was some kind of malice in their choice of guest, or they were adopting his political views or anything like that, I think that's going too far. I just think this was the result of not really reading the room, not understanding just how controversial Hassan is.
I don't agree with Rev. Like I said, if I had a friend who told me, "Oh, I am a racist," he's not going to be my friend. Like, "Oh, I support groups that hunt and punish." For example, "Oh, I support a group that publicly kills homosexuals." No, he's not going to be my friend because that's not right. You can't. I think you're responsible for your friends, and you're responsible for the friends when you show that friend to other people. If you tell me, oh, guys, this is my friend. He likes Full Metal Alchemist, but he supports a group that trolls homosexuals from buildings and kills them. Oh, no, people are going to be mad with me because I presented to them that horrible person, and I would go there and apologize with all my heart, saying, "Oh, sorry about that. I didn't know how deep were his beliefs. I'm sorry about that. I would delete it. I would delete everything that we have with him because that's not right. That's literally not right. In the future, you can change as a person. You can change as a person, but when he's doing that actively, I don't think you can be his friend.
Connor at one point basically also said that he doesn't really keep up to date on these things. I mean, I think on the one hand, you have a bit of a responsibility to understand who you're inviting onto your podcast, but I also understand that, yeah, not everyone's up to date on all this stuff, so, you know.
But my problem is that they probably know each other. They played video games together. They probably talked in private. You're going to tell me that Hassan never talks about political stuff when the only thing he does in his day-to-day life is talk about political stuff? No, I don't. I don't buy that. I don't buy that. And you're not going to at least study the guest you're bringing on? That's TV 101. You always study to see if that person is controversial with your audience.
Kind of depends on how you view that, but overall, like I said, bad choice. They didn't really see the big picture here and how much people disliked Hassan, and it was reflected in the like-dislike ratio. And I look at the latest episode. They uploaded another episode after the Hassan one, and that one has a somewhat abnormal amount of dislikes compared to their usual video. I think people are still mad about this, and they're still channeling their frustration through another lightning rod, which at this point is any episode uploaded, but obviously it's died down a lot. So I don't think that's going to continue for a bunch of episodes.
Yeah, but I think a bunch of people are just not going to watch Trash Taste from the for the future, especially with this type of response. I'm not going to watch Trash Taste in the future. So yeah. Well, I can I can continue my life.
Future, but for now, that's really what we got. Okay, I think it's the main takeaways is that they acknowledge they underestimated the reaction the public would have to this. Hassan's not going to be on the podcast anymore, it sounds like, and pretty much there was a lot of people from outside the community or outside their subscription base that were coming in to jump in on the video, and yeah, that's pretty much everything we need to know here, and that's about it. So as always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below.
Oh, we are going to see the comment section.
I'll see you next time.
Let's see the comment section. Oh god, shut up. Why is YouTube getting worse? I need to buy YouTube Premium. Let's see. Where's the comments? Where is the comments? Where the heck are the comments? My internet? So bad.
Hey, what's up, guys? We're up here. So today
No.
we'll be going over some updates regarding the Taste podcast fiasco. So in case you don't...
Shush. Let's see here. Connor, it's not an extreme belief to be against a terrorist. Yes, a terrorist sympathizer. If Asmonol has said the same thing, Twitch wouldn't have hesitated. Yeah, the other goal of Connor to frame the situation on people who are against Hassan are the extreme ones, cause his dear friend is just a sweetheart. Yeah. They make a jokes on the start of the podcast about how controversial Hassan is and that he isn't allowed to talk politics in the episode. Yeah, literally that. But yeah, I think the best thing we can do is not watching Trash Taste anymore. But yeah. Anyway, I had